The Bira Inyan, that's the last paragraph of page of Moishe. That was only two, so the second one. So Bira Inyan further to understand the difference between Gan Eden Elyon, Gan Eden ha'tachton, and therefore the need for Nahad and Nur. Or a cleansing, a purging, even as it were, in Kedusha itself. Okay. So further explanation. Bira Inyan Yuvna Amnavu Baruch B'Lekutei Torah the Maschal Edif Kodei. As explained at length in Lekutei Torah. Right, this comes after the explanation. We heard the summary, the beautiful summary of Sid, by Sid, of Sid, on Shabbos. Gan Eden Elyon, Gan Eden ha'tachton, Chochma Bina, the Hamshacha of Tainug, the relative levels of Tainug, from Chochma to Bina, and then Zoh and Malchus. That's Gan Eden Elyon, Gan Eden ha'tachton. That's the analogy. In general, Gan Eden Elyon is Bina, Gan Eden ha'tachton is Midas, is Zoh. That's in general, but the prat is, it's as we explain. So now, to go to further detail. So then in Lekutei Torah, he says, Sheba'avodas ha'adam yesh hasaga va'avana b'likus. There is an understanding in Elikus b'efen shel yediyas ha'chiyuv, which means literally an affirmative understanding. You grasp the subject matter. Yesh hasaga va'avana b'likus b'efen shel yediyas ha'shlila. And then there's understanding godliness, not in a direct way, but in an indirect way, what godliness is not. Shammach explains there, that knowledge, affirmative knowledge, yesh. Now, actually, sometimes the Indian is spoken in the reverse, which is higher. Which is high is the affirmative, obviously, because you're understanding what it is, not what it's not. And Machlal, we say that's the difference between here and L'mayla. L'mayla is Yediyas ha'chiyuv. And here, all we can really say about godliness is what it's not, infinite, not finite. Ligvu. We're divested of all limitations. So Yediyas ha'shlila is lower, because we don't have direct experience of Elikus. So the lower one is Yediyas ha'shlila. But here he speaks the opposite. Here he speaks that there's a level of Yediyas ha'shlila that is higher than Yediyas ha'chiyuv.
One is the Yediyah itself, one is what if you're trying to understand the same thing, then it's going to be lower down here, it's and higher up there, because you can actually understand it. But if you're talking about different levels that you're understanding, then it's a higher level, so you can't grasp it. You can only understand it by way of
Right. No, Yediyas is always addressing a higher level. However, in Bachlal, true, that's what he's saying, that's consistent with what he's saying now. But Bachlal, that is only because since we're tethered to the guf, every knowledge of Elikus is Yediyas ha'shlila. But once you're in the world of Elikus, it's Yediyas ha'chiyuv, higher and higher and higher. Here he's adding the subtlety that even in Elikus itself, there's Yediyas ha'shlila, as he goes on to say. Shammach explains there, Yediyas ha'chiyuv v'inyan shametzias yesh. So we speak about affirmative understanding. We're talking about something. You can understand that it's a thing. Shetevis is a inyan b'shisha k'tzava shel ha'seichel, that is grasped by the 6 directions of seichel. It's explained in Chassidus that every idea has 6 directions. The height of the idea, there is the depth of the idea, and then there are the 4 directions of the idea, the chesed component, the water component, and so on. Now, Tebin Tanya makes reference to this already in Perikim. So, ideas achiyuv, by definition, means understanding something. And that thing can be grasped with the coordinates of seichel. Every idea, again, every idea, true idea, an abstract idea, has these 6 directions: its height, its depth, its applications, and the contrasting midas within seichel. That's all what Yediyas Achir, Mashenki Yediyas Hashlila, but this indirect grasp or knowledge, which literally means negation. What does he understand? He only understands the things he's negating. So those he understands, and he's saying it's not that. And he's divesting what he is addressing from that which he grasps. So this is a knowledge in that which is elusive, fundamentally. It can only be addressed in terms of what it is not. It's still a knowledge. In general, it's a difference between Seva Kalam and Mala Kalam. But here, Moishe says to the mind, there is a Kololas Achilik Shebein Aspaklaria She'ena Meira. So he brings here from the Gemara in Yevam. It's a famous Gemara that Chassidus quotes. Yeah, the King Menashe. The King Menashe wanted to put, and he did, he executed Yeshaya Hanavi. And he executed him because he said he was a heretic. He had an agenda, he was going to do this anyway, but he was an excuse anyway. So he wanted excuses. And one of them was that all of them, the theme of all of his charges were that Yeshaya Hanavi contradicts Nevuas Moishe Rabbi. Yeshaya says, "Va'ere, I saw Hashem," referring to the Bia'kov. And Moishe Rabbeinu, about Moishe Rabbeinu, it says, Hashem says, nobody can see me. And there are several other contradictions. And the famous contradiction is that Yeshaya Hanavi says that call upon Hashem. Which means God is not always accessible, but seek him when he's near and found. And Moishe Rabbeinu says, anyway, so it's interesting to monitor it because Yeshaya said himself, we are told, that he's not going to answer him because he's going to kill him anyway. Listen to the Mesilas Nefesh of a Nasi. If he answers him, so he'll make him more culpable and guilty. He got an answer, he's still killing him. So better let him think on some level that his charges are legitimate, and he didn't answer. The Gemara, in its characteristic way, after telling the story, says, but they're good questions, what are the answers? What are the answers to the questions that Menashe posed to him? So here's the answer here. This is the difference between Aspaklari and again, there is a Kolas Achilik Shebin Aspaklari She'ena Me'ir. This is quoted in the Bia'kov, right? This in you. Aspaklari She'ena Me'ir means is a window that is not luminous. And sometimes Chassidus makes that a mirror, that you see things only that are behind you. You don't see through it, but behind you. But the simple pshat in the Gemara is, maybe the Mepharshim would say that, but the simple pshat is, it just means that it's not a clear vision. So when it's not a clear vision, which is what Yeshaya had, the lower level, the Moishe Rabbeinu, I saw. And the likus is clouded. Well, the course is not to manifest in its purity, and it comes betzimtzum, in other words, I can grasp it. Therefore, ve'ere, and he does. What is he describing? He's describing a likus with all the Merkava and the Chayis and the Srofim and all of the dargis of the likus post tzimtzum, lower than Atzilus even, that can be grasped. In contrast to las paklarish hameira, a luminous pane or window or glass, Shebon Emar, about which Moishe Rabbeinu said, or the Hibit said to Moishe, so to see him, no one can see. So, all to say, the dafke shes paklari she'ena meiro, so the window which is not luminous, which is not clear, with simply filtered, since the manifestation is not in its pure revealed form, as in so this gives a place for chiyuv, understanding, because it's a revelation that's not begilui. Now the metzius here is the metzius of the viewer, but also elikus comes in a way of metzius. It's both. I mean, the viewer is a given that he's a metzius. Elikus, it's elikus. Chiv metzius, that there's affirmative and something referring to elikus. There's something this about the likus. Likus is something that can be described. But in the pure revelation of likus, this cannot be grasped by seeing it and therefore describing it. Metzius, something, existence, cannot exist when pure oil is revealed, because when the pure oil is revealed, there's only Eibishter and nothing else. Yeah, but that's kind of clear. Yes, folks. Yeah, can't see you far away. Hands up, a nod, a wink. Kind of. If I'm saying kind of, no, a particular question, or just it's not clear?
I didn't understand the last point. I didn't understand that.
When the Gilui Oy he speaks of here is higher than the Tzimtzum, the pure Gilui of the Mo'er, of the exclusivity of the Eibishter. So when the exclusivity of the Eibishter is revealed, the Ein Leid Milvado, there can't be Metzius. It's not Shayach that there is even another that is grasping it and defining it. There's no definition, and the other is completely disbuttled. The whole idea of another entity having an understanding is not Shayach when Ein Leid Milvado is revealed, when there's true Gilui Oy. It's only when a Likus is revealed in a filtered way, post Tzimtzum, and assumes all kinds of definition and description, then you can have in that level of a likus, which is not the true Gilui Oir, relatively speaking, it's a compromised Gilui Oir, then you can have understanding. That engenders another entity, Metzius, and that the Metzius should describe the Eibishter, Chesed, Buddha, as Yeshaya did, a whole elaborate description of what's going on in the Maila. Why is that? Because it's not the true, it's a filtered, compromised Gilui. It's not true Gilui Oir. At the level of Gilui of Oir, it's Ein Levada. But beyond description and beyond an entity that outside of the likus that would describe a likus. It's all but bittul b'mitzias. Is that kind of clear? Yeah, that's what he means. So when he says, the word Gilui is relative to it. Here he means Gilui in its purest form. Ishtalshus is also Gilui, but that's already not the Gilui he speaks of here. So he said, yes, let's continue. Yeah, now see, we're good. And he said, so when a likus is revealed, not begiloi, so this allows for chiyuv, an affirmative understanding. Why? Because of the post-tzimtzum, post-it. And the likus is revealed now through middas and sfiras and mitzias. The kus can be described as something. Chesed, gevura, chachma, bin. Mashenkin, I'm repeating it again. Mashenkin es baklal yaham be'ira le'shaych b'genoriya, but a likus that is revealed in a transparent way. What's being revealed? Transparently, the truth of the Einid Muvadai. There's no shaykh in iya. There's an observer that is seeing this and then can describe what he saw. Mitzias, otherness, existence cannot exist when the likus is revealed in its purity. So this is all to explain, relatively speaking, all the language is all relative. Gan Eden Elyon here, our Maimer is Atzilus, Gan Eden Tachten is Bria. Even though, as I told you, Bechlal, it's Gan Eden Elyon is Bria, Gan Eden Tachten is Yitzira. But it's not a stira, because when we say Gan Eden Elyon is Bria, we mean Atzilus revealed, that's Eden revealed, and that's in Bria. So we're now further elaboration. So Gan Eden Elyon, he's saying, relatively speaking, is Elikus is revealed in such a way that is beyond description. Yedi is Hashlila. The only thing that can be said about it is what it's not. And Gan Eden not, and that's the connection. The connection is to the negation of self, in other words. That's the experience of Gan Eden Elyon, the bittul. Gan Eden Tachten, it's an affirmative understanding. I have mid this, the Eibishter has mid this. It's a relationship of commonality in Gan Eden Tachten. Why? Because the likus is revealed there in a way of hakbala, limitation, and therefore, and the limitations are the same, the parallels, the limitations of the description of the nefesh, and so it's an affirmative relationship. But in Atzilus, the Gan Eden Elyon, the relationship is through the dissolvement of self, the bittul of self. Therein lies the connection. Hashenkin in Gan Eden Tachten, the relationship is on the contrary. It's what you're connecting to. You relate within self. It's filling, fills your mitzias, and in Atzilus is mevakel your mitzias. That's the connection. Even though Atzilus is also spheres, it's also description, but that's already a complete bit of mitzias. It's not the descriptions themselves. It's the Eibishter revealing himself this way. So it's the Eibishter revealing himself, not caught up in the sphere itself. And this requires further elaboration, but I think we get the general idea. It doesn't go into these parts, so we won't either, but I think I hope we understand the general idea that in Atzilus, Gan Eden Elyon, the relationship, the experience is through the dissolvement of self. And Gan Eden Tachten, on the contrary, it's you're grasping with your mind and feeling with your heart, the nefesh. In Gan Eden Tachten, Elikus, as it is graspable and lovable, etc. The midas, of the Eibishter revealed in a finite way, engendering something, otherness, which is a something and a nefesh can experience. Further elaboration, we find again in the mind. The mind is trying to help us by giving us further elaboration, and one of the challenges us. Oh, we're not going to figure this out now, but the point is, if we do, then overall we think about it deeply. But all the stratas and illustrations that the mind is telling us for one nakuda, then it will give a deeper, much richer understanding. But as we're slogging through it, it's just another hurdle. So the most important part of all of this is the chazara and the review and thinking it all through. So now further, Dini Omer Razal says in Pirkei Avos, this we've encountered many times. Da no ma'ayin bosa from where you come, malon atelech from where you're going. So remember, you remember the Mishnah spells it out there. A putrid drop, and where are you going? Before the King of Kings. That's before him you make judgment, and you end up as rotting in the grave. Okay, that's the Mishnah the Pashtus. Now let's see what it means. B'pnimius ma'ayin boso. Know from where you come. So it's not the Pnimius, it's telling us where you come from, not find out, go find out. It's you should know that ma'ayin bos, you come from ayin. That's where you come. This refers to the source of the Neshama Bab, it is hewn out, as it were, from beneath the divine throne. So a seat, a throne, where a person sits and settles. So that's in general what to Indian Svidis Bina, this is Bina. That's Gan Eden Elin. Gan Eden Elin is Amshach of Eden in Gan in Bina. Because Bina is with the idea settles. So that's where you come from. So Neshama comes from Gan Eden Elin, Svidis Bina. And where are you going? That's Ganed Natachten. Shaboy, why are you going there? Because that's Chilas Aliyah. This is all after the whole Avodah. It's saying, where do you come from before you go down? And after whole Avodah, where are you going to go? So you come from Tachas Kis Yaakov, Svidis Sabina, Ganed Elyon. And where are you going to go after the whole Avodah? Your first step will be Ganed Atach. After the whole bitter and everything, cleansing. That's the first ascent, hopefully, eventually, ultimately. After the neshama comes down the matter, they came out to the mitzvahs. Through doing Torah mitzvahs. So in this language of Chazal, we can see the great distinction between Gan Eden El and Gan Eden Atacht. In this language, let's examine it. Right, this is another model. We're getting different models and different and greater detail in these two dargis. All to explain Shabbos and weekday, Yisrael and Yaakov. Omol, not Oven. Right? Just put that in the back burner. Behind the Levish Mitzias, the Gan Eden Elyon, because I missed the line. Gan Eden Elyon Nikra B'Shem Ayin. Gan Eden Elyon is called Ma'ayin Bos. So you come from, Ayin means nothing. Because this is a bittul where there's no Metzias, and Likus is revealed, relatively speaking, in its purity. So you can head that Metzias. There's no existence behind you. Metzias, the Gan Eden Elyon, Yagilu, the Nahar, Yotzim Eden. Because what's revealed in Gan Eden Elyon is the law that comes from Eden, the taining or atzmi of the Eibishter, and in the taining of the atzmi of the Eibishter, there is only Eibishter. And just by the way, tzorich in a little bit here, because as Sid pointed out, we didn't actually say this, we learned the Maamar. But Sid said it, and L'cheret said it with the correct shot. Namely, remember the stira. The whole Gan Eden El and Gan Eden Atachten is based on the Zohar. It's not based on, it's a Zohar. And where does the Zohar get it from? Oh, it's from Gan Eden El and Gan Eden Atachten. But where is it in the pasuk? Because there's a stira. One pasuk says that Hashem planted V'yita Hashem Elikim Gan Ben Eden. There's the Gan is in Eden, then there's a Nor Yotzim Eden. The river which goes out. So where's the Nor? Lashes is a Gan to water the garden. Where's the garden is the question. Is the garden in Eden or it's out of Eden and the river has to flow? So that explains Gan Eden Atach Chachma Bina. So Sid was saying that Chachma Bina is one world. Zon Malchus is already really going outside of self, fundamentally, speech, creation, yeah. And that's the correct shot. Although the Maamar never spelled out the answer, that seems to be the answer. So, but here, a little bit of a problem, because when he's speaking about Gan Eden Elyon, what he brings the pasuk Nor Yotzim Be'eden. That's Gan Eden Atachten, when he earlier. In the Elyon is V'yita Hashem Elikim Gan Be'eden. So, I could be learning this all wrong, I don't know. But the Chlolis is just, he's not going to the pratim of Gan Eden, just a general idea of Nor and Eden. So he quotes the latter pasuk, because that brings out the hashpah, l'chore, that there's a gilur, even though specifically it's referring to Zohar Malchus, but in essence, this gilur is also Chachma Bina. I think that's the pshat. I could be wrong. At any rate, so it doesn't change what we're learning about right now, and that is what we said now. He's explaining now the ayin bosa and where you're going to on. So we're contrasting ayin to on. What does it mean? So the neshama comes from ayin, which means nothing. Me ayin bosa, you come from nothing. Because at that level, the neshama is not a separate mitzias at all. What's Gan Eden Elyon? Gan Eden Elyon is a gilui of Eden. It's bina b'chala, but not bina on its own. It's gilui b'chinas chachma shema ayin timotze. It's a level of chachma. Chachma is that level of ayin. Generally speaking, the idea is not developed at all. It's kapitel b'mitzias. And we mean in more detail. Not the definition of Chachma. Chachma has a definition. It's the seminal point that ayin shebachachma, the bittul of Chachma. The bittul of Chachma. And therefore the idea comes in a bittul way. But Chachma is, he's saying that Chachma of the Neshama, the Nefesh Elikis, likewise Chachma L'mayla, is not a per se intellectual faculty. It's bittul. Its premise is bittul, and therefore its understanding of the Eibishter is in a bittul dikir way. It's bittul telikus, that's its nekuda. Bittul to the Eibishter. So the ayin shebachach, Alachin gam kifishin mushach lashchis esagon. So when this level is this ayin shebachachma waters the garden Gan Eden Elyon, and it's drawn into bina, so there's a yediyah, but yediyah is actually a level. It's not a yediyah that fills, but a yediyah that dissolves. And as if oifen shall shlilis hametzias, the experience of the neshama Gan Eden Elyon is the negation of self. It's all you. That's bina. There's an understanding here. But what kind of bina? What kind of yediyah is yediyah hashlila? This is the aspaklaria ha'meira, and that's ayin. Right, we're clear. It's somewhat technical, it's really the same inyan, but he's giving a deeper understanding using more language, and the language is critical. Ayin, nothing, and on means a place. We're going to see now. On, where are you going after the whole avodah? Your first address, as the neshama says, the ma'ila. It's where are you going? On means a place. Which place are you going? This is already a place. Because Gan Eden HaTachton is a place. Because Gan Eden HaTachton is already a likus that is highly defined, relatively speaking, and there's the tzimtzum there between seichel and midas, the maila. It's all relative. And there is already a place. Look at the Torah, Parshas Bamidbar. So all to say, let's wrap this up. If these few lines in the moving in the hardinur, the two kinds of birur. They're moving. So the Shoma now, there's just after the whole avodah, gone through Gehenna, wonderful, and already gone to the lower Nahardinur. So the Neshama is in, and as explained at length, why you need the lower Nahardinur. Just by coming into the guf in Yidden Nahardinur. Never mind any Avedas or anything. Gehenna took care of that. But just being fused with the body needs to be cleansed of the whole imagery of Elam Hazeh. The whole imagery of Elam Hazeh meets all relative. The whole notion of Elam Hazeh is a psemetzias, something to be reckoned with, per se. It's got to be purged. That has levels, so relative. But that's the lower Nahardinur. So it's understood, therefore, we have to go from a place, again, so we're going from a level that's called a place, Going to a place to no place. To a place that is nothing. Going from something to nothing. In other words, from definition and place to that which has no definition. Going from a vision, from an experience, from a reality, that is not luminous, that is filtered, there's all kinds of description and fulfilling. As we said before, you're going from experience from this fills me to experience of it dissolves me. Couldn't be anything greater opposite than that. The B'chinis is Paklari HaMeira, to go to Meira, Ki lo yirani oda v'choy. To go from these to this transition. We're going from Ganed Natachon from Malchus, which is Asiyah, which is otherness, mamish, words and language. Ganed Elyon, so then, which is Bittul b'Metzias, relatively speaking, Chachma, the Bittul of Chachma permeates Bina, is experienced there, but experience is Bittul. This requires also immersion in the Nahar Denur, the river fire. And that's not enough. You think it'll be over? No. Lachar is Gamaliyah Omud, is this Omud, there's this pillar that the Zohar speaks of. Even after the Nahar Denur, he's going to say what that is in a moment. About this, referring to the Achashverosh, Achas V'Reish Shaloi, that's the course in its purest form. The Naira is the Neshama, referring to the when she would come with this. This is described. Could the Torah there in the Maimorim on Megillas Esther? I'm sorry, in Torah. So there explains the Omud, and with this, the Omud, the Naira, the maiden, the Neshama ascends. Now, but the language of the pasuk is Bazeh, and with this she would come. Well, this preparations, the 6 months Shem Damod and 6 months burn. So what's this? The difference between the lower Gan Eden and high Gan Eden. I could just say this, running out of time. But like and this. All the Nevi'im said Koi, so said God. And Moishe said, this is what God said, Lazeh. So that will see okay, it's a sentence to the notion of Zeh, to the absolute clarity of Elikus, of its truth. Like means already like something else. It already acknowledges otherness. It says like something else. Sfiras HaMalchus. Because Malchus engenders otherness, it's creation. And this is it, this, nothing else, exclusive. Okay, we'll continue the paragraph. We'll conclude with Beit Hashem tomorrow. Yeah, I'm here, I'm still here. Okay.